Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in and welcome back. The WTP Sports Dudes is at it again. And I got my main man, the living legend, Mr. Robert Brown. How you doing this evening, homie?
I'm good this evening post game. I'm glad to be on here with you tonight, ready to talk some college football questions. We got some fantastic questions in the chat, and I'm ready to get at them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we are some of the finest sports analysts on YouTube. Let's get right to it, man. Well, first of all, man, um, I'm excited for Saturday, bro, because there's a huge boxing match on. Jerron Booth Ennis and Xander Zayas are going to fight Saturday evening. I was wondering, I'm a huge boxing fan. I love boxing. Even dibbled and dabbled in it in South Bend for a little bit. But are you do you watch boxing at all?
I I'm not gonna say no, and I can't say yes because I haven't watched boxing seriously for a really really long time. Unless it's a major fight, I'll try to catch it. But usually the main fights come on a little bit too late at night for me, so I usually don't get to catch them.
Fair enough, man. I'm really excited for Saturday. You got a good one with Jerron Bucenis and Xander Zayas. It's going to be an amazing fight. So that's what I was catching up on when I got off work today. But anywho, we'll get right into it because y'all came for the college football talk. So I'm gonna start it off like this, Rob. In your opinion, who has the most dominant offensive line going into the season?
Man, that's a really, really tough one because a lot of times you really don't know how good an offensive line is until after they get in the competition. If it, I'm going to say Ohio State because of all of the returning experience that they have. But I think there's about three or four teams that is really right there together. You got Ohio State, you got BYU, you got Notre Dame, and you have maybe the LSU team and what they've been able to get over there. But Ohio State last year they were moving some guys around because they had some injuries. But this year though, that unit gets to come back, and I think they're going to be one of the most experienced units and a really good offense. So I'm gonna go with Ohio State right now.
Ohio State is a really good pick. You mentioned some of the better offensive lines in the country, that being BYU, Georgia, Indiana, teams like that. What does it take? Do you think Texas has the talent to be in the upper echelon of offensive lines in the country next or this coming season?
I really do, simply because their returning center, who played the last 6 or 7 games at the center position, is returning. We know how critical the center position is. He's a bigger guy. I think that him returning at that center position, you return Trevor Gooseby, who I feel like is going to be a top 15 draft pick in the NFL draft coming up next year, along with bumping Brandon Baker into the inside, and then getting two proven veterans to fill in at that left guard position and that right tackle position. I think Texas's offensive line is going to be really, really good. The thing that concerns me about them is they didn't have a really long time to jail, so they're going to have to really do some things during fall ball to really get up to speed with each other in jail, which has been the issue with Texas last year. Rather, that was the issue with Texas last year.
Interesting. Let's welcome to the show T1 and City League TV. How you doing this evening, homie?
Pretty good, pretty good. Tired, but good.
All right, man. I'll go right to you. Who do you think has the most dominant offensive line going into the season?
Mm, it's a hard one for me. Uh, we got a whole lot of experience coming back on that offensive line at Ohio State, and I'm gonna be all the way just biased on this. I'm looking for my offensive line to show their experience and be dominant and be a major part of our offense this upcoming season.
No doubt about that. I mean, like I mentioned before, like Rob mentioned, there are a lot of really good offensive lines in college football who could have the title of most dominant. I would say Notre Dame if Charles Jagasaw and Ashton Craig is healthy and plays this season. If those two players are able to play and are healthy, I think Notre Dame will have the most dominant offensive line. But until that is proven, man, I'm gonna say Georgia. I like the athletes Georgia has accumulated in their offensive line room. I think if Notre Dame isn't able to get healthy, then I think Georgia will have the most dominant offensive line. Y'all got anything else on that?
Sir,
All right, let's move on then. And I'm gonna start with you on this, Rob. Which wideout is most likely to challenge Jeremiah Smith for the Bolitnikoff Award? We all know Jeremiah Smith is the best wide receiver in college, but can somebody come this season and kind of steal the show? For whatever reason, it may be that Ohio State is running the ball more. It may be he has less opportunities to catch passes because we know they'll have a new offensive coordinator. It may be they blowing teams out and he's sipping Gatorade in the second half. But whatever the reason, what do you got to say on this, Rob?
I mean, I think Malachi Tony will definitely be someone who will be able to challenge Jeremiah Smith for the Bolitnikoff Award. I really feel like he might be the only one. I mean, if you look at Cam Coleman over there at Texas, he's going to have some other guys that are going to demand the ball as well. And I know Arch Manning is one who's going to spread that ball around. I really feel like Malachi Tony might be the only one because he's going to be so featured in his offense, much like we expect Jeremiah Smith to be, that he might be the only one that will be able to contend with him for that award. So I'm gonna go with Malachi Tony.
T1, what you got, man? Can
I,
anybody challenge Smith for that award?
I have the and actually, I mean, to answer that, yeah, probably any receiver that's catching balls in college football. I mean, we know who the best receiver in college football has been for the past 2 years. I could even probably say for his freshman season, and he's still yet to win this award. So I'm going right. I'm going with Tony, just right like with Rob. I think that's the probably the most next talked about receiver, and you've heard multiple people say that he could possibly challenge him for that award. But Ohio State is going to feed Jeremiah Smith the ball, and that's something that everybody needs to understand this year. He's going to get fed that ball. He hasn't been fed, although his numbers have been great, but they have not force fed him, and you're going to see a lot of force feeding this year. But I'm gonna go with Tony, and man, I just don't know what Jeremiah Smith has to do to win this award, and especially with them saying that. I mean, every single year they're saying he's the best receiver in college football. He can go 1, 2, or 3 if he was to enter the draft, and that was starting as a freshman. So this is actually one of the weirdest awards that I've seen in a long time, with him not being able to capture this award.
Okay. And that's why I asked the question because we all know Jeremiah Smith is the best wide receiver in the country, right? But what if Malachi Tony gets more opportunities? What if Deuce Robinson in Florida State is force fed the ball? You know, somebody could come along and have a huge statistical season and kind of outshine Smith if they don't make it a priority to get him the ball. I don't think there's anybody who will. I think this is his award. But if I gotta say somebody, I'm gonna say Deuce Robinson from Florida State because I just like his talent, his athleticism, his size advantage on the outside and through the middle of the field. And I think if Florida State is going to do anything this season, they have to feature Deuce Robinson. Y'all got
Y'all got
anything
anything?
else?
I'm just, I'm just saying that
I don't. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
You there, T1? Yeah, I think I don't know. But you got anything to add to that, Rob?
I don't.
Okay, let's move on. Rob, it's a lot of good running backs in the nation this season, man. Who do you think will lead the country in rushing?
Who do I think will lead the country in rushing? I'm gonna if Missouri's running back Hardy, if he comes back 100% healthy, I think it will be him if he can play all 12 games this season because he's going to be the offensive guy on that team that they're going to have to get the rock to. So I'm gonna go with Hardy out of Missouri. But I'm telling you right now, man, if Georgia just decides we're going to let our running back run the football in Nate Frazier, I can see Frazier getting it. But I don't think Georgia's going to do that. So I'm going to go with Hardy out of Missouri.
Ty, you want to finish your thought?
Give me that. What was the question? My fault about that, fellas.
No, were you gonna say anything else about Jeremiah Smith and the?
Oh no, not at all. I just said just what I said. Like if he doesn't win this thing, man, I almost don't care what his numbers are. You know, uh, yeah.
Got you. Who? So, in your opinion, my man, who will lead the country in rushing next season?
Man, that's up in the air because it depends on who gonna get the most carries. You know what I mean? Like whoever gonna get it's like we just talking about the wide receivers. Whoever get fed the ball the most, they're the ones with the best opportunity. And if you're like we said earlier too, if you're on a great team and you might be sitting in the fourth quarter. So, that's a hard one. And it's always a lot of running backs who are, getting carries and putting up yards. A lot of them come from the schools that aren't really doing much or nothing. So, that's a hard one.
Yeah. Um, Fellas, I'm gonna go with L.J. Martin from BYU. Big physical power back, 6'2", over 200 pounds. I think BYU has one of the better offensive lines in the nation. And then you parlay that with L.J. Martin and his physicality. Uh, Going against primarily the Big 12, I don't think the Big 12, the defenses in the Big 12 are going to have a lot of success slowing down BYU in that power run. So if I'm gonna go with somebody to lead the nation in rushing before the season starts, it's L.J. Martin, man. I love that kid or his game rather. Any more thoughts on the Russian leader, fellas?
That's a really good pick post game because we all know that the Big 12 is not going to be able to muster the kind of defensive lines to really slow him down. And BYU wants to run the football and control the clock and all that other stuff, man. So he's really one of the ones who can probably win it. I picked Hardy because I think they're going to have to force feed him a lot. But then again, he's going to get some of those SEC defenses where he's going to get stifled a lot of times, especially if that's all that Missouri can do is run the football. In the SEC, they'll be able to make you one dimensional and force you to have to throw the ball by stopping Hardy. So that's a really good pick that you picked right there with L.J. Martin.
Yeah, for sure, man. They definitely going to be trying to run the ball and play physical. But I want to get in the chat for a second. What was this? Queen Diamond J8282. How you doing? Brawley, how you doing? We got the homie Mossberg in the chat. Great evening to the finest homies in the Midwest. That's for sure. Francisco 16978 said hello. How you doing? Mossberg said, I'll say Oregon in an arguable debate. I think he's talking about the offensive
Offensive
lines.
line, yeah.
Our man SEC Shine said Indiana has a lot back, I think, and if A&M can gel, they could be good too. That's a fact. Oh, and SEC Shine, man, if you want the link, let me know if you want the link, homie. I'll shoot the link in the chat for you. Say I play football, really want to make it to the. I don't know what that is, homie. Level of Sports 10 said LJ Martin has a legit shot as well as Hardy. And then what's this? Raphael, I don't know. Six. Sorry, I butchered your name. He said, "Do you know what kind of bees make milk?" Come on, man. Mr. Ghost said, "Good evening. Good evening to you." And then old Texas man 914. He said, "Hi guys. What people don't understand, Texas Tech QB room is loaded. If Will Hammond can't go on, we got Lloyd Chubbs Jones the third. He was the fourth ranked QB out of Texas his senior year. Yeah, I mean, I would say I won't make the mistake of leaving Texas Tech for dead. They got a really talented roster and they spend a lot of money to have a really talented roster, as any other team in this NIL age does. But Texas Tech definitely has a talented roster. You got anything on that on Tech, Rob?
I mean, outside of him telling us about the quarterbacks that they have, I really didn't know who they had behind Sorsby. So I have to defer to him to let us know that they have some really good quarterbacks. And since he did that, I looked at a couple of those guys, and I think they're going to be perfectly fine. I really feel like maybe they might be better off with those quarterbacks than with Sorsby because I really wasn't that high on Sorsby.
Yeah, you've been saying that for a while, even before the whole situation. So kudos to you. Okay, my man. Who, in your opinion, who will have the scariest defense in college football this evening? Or I said this evening, this upcoming season.
Man, I'm telling you right now, and I might sound like a homer, but when you got Colin Simmons and you got Will Muschamp on the other side and what he can do and draw up defensively for a guy like Colin Simmons, man, it's going to be crazy. And I'm going to go with that Texas defense because I really feel like he understands, Will Muschamp, that is, that he's going to have his corners and his defensive backs playing closer to the line of scrimmage, which forces wide receivers to have to get off of tight coverage, which allows the defensive line guys to get after their quarterback. And he's going to bring some crazy pressures as well. And I think he's going to have quarterbacks and offensive lines really in a pickle, man. He's gonna put a lot of teams in a blender. And when you got a guy like Colin Simmons, that defense is gonna be really, really scary. And you got sideline to sideline linebackers, smaller guys, but they're really physical and they can go sideline to sideline. So I'm gonna say Texas right now.
Okay, I respect that, Rob. I mean, because it's not. I don't think anybody who watches us can say that you're a homer. You know, you get on here and you give your honest opinion. So you say Texas, I'm with it. For me, they might also say I'm a homer, but I'm just analyzing what my eyes see and what I've heard. I'm going with Notre Dame having the nastiest defense or the scariest defense heading into the season. The reason why I think Notre Dame is that team, anytime you got a shutdown corner like Leonard Moore, long rangey corner, intelligent, physical, he has everything. Speed, He has everything. That's a guy who can lock down your best offensive weapon. We seen last year when he was matched up against Makai Lemon in that slot, going from the boundary to the slot and matching up with Makai Lemon and pretty much making a huge difference in that game. Anytime you got a lockdown corner who can take out your main offensive weapon, that receiver, I think that's the start of a great defense. Now, the another part of that secondary is getting DJ McKinney from Colorado, who played extremely well with the Heisman Trophy winner down at Colorado when Shadur Sanders was there. So I like the length and athleticism as or for DJ McKinney as well. And then that second, the safeties are athletic and they're playmakers, man. Don Schuler, man, Tate, Bronte Johnson, who's another freak at free safety. Then you talk about the linebackers, bro. Versatile linebackers, and they can throw their linebackers at you in waves. And I think I heard one of the college shows talking about Notre Dame having the best linebacker group in the country. And then you talk about that defensive line, getting Charlie Partridge as the new defensive line coach, one of the best defensive line coach in America, pros or college. I think having Bubakar Troyer in his second year removed from the ACL, I think Bryce Young, he has to take off this season, but he has the tools to do that. Getting Francis Brew in the transfer portal, getting Ti and Gray in the transfer portal. These are really good defensive tackles. I think adding all that, I think Notre Dame would be the scariest defense in the country. Anything else on that?
Yeah, I like the fact that when you got a lockdown corner, man, you can do a whole lot of things on the other side of that field to really get after quarterbacks to really shut down the run. When you know you ain't got to worry about the pass game on one side of the field. So I mean, I like that pick as well.
Yes, sir. Texas Tech man back in the chat said, then we have a freshman QB, Stephen Cannon from Georgia, 22 touchdowns to four interceptions, best high school QB in Georgia. We got the best backfield and Dickie Williams and Joyner. Then Texas Tech man said, I got Dickie or Joyner. BYU couldn't get through Texas Tech last year. Luckily, BYU doesn't play Tech this year. Okay. Sounds like fighting words, man. We got any BYU fans in the building? Shout out to my man Time 18188. He said I'm going with Oklahoma Sooners and the Texas Longhorns, and I'm standing on it. Okay, I like it. I like it. I like it. Anything else on defenses, man, coming into the season, Rob?
I like that Oklahoma defense as well, man. I think that Venables, he's always going to put a solid defense out there, and then second year with Mateer, I think this Oklahoma team is going to be really really good.
Yeah, no doubt about that, man. I'm excited to see John Mateer fully healthy as well. Is there any team flying under the radar that could make the playoffs?
Flying under the radar that can make the playoffs. Well, we all know that there's only 12 spots. I think USC might be the team in the Big Ten that's probably flying up under the radar that could possibly make it to the college football playoffs this year. So I'm gonna go with USC.
What is it about USC? Because I got a question. I got a question later on about them. What is it about USC that you think they can make that leap and be a playoff team in the Big Ten conference?
Well, the thing that makes me hopeful for USC is the fact that they got Gary Patterson as a defensive coordinator, and Gary Patterson can come in and look at your team, and he can find all of the flaws or many of the flaws that you have, especially in your secondary, that he can fix really really quickly. He loves that three high safety defense that we see a lot of teams starting to adopt right now. He's going to make things really really tough. He always gave Texas and Steve Sarkisian a lot of issues. The only time that Texas really could beat TCU was when they had a really good running game. because the running game is the kryptonite for the three high safety. But because of Gary Patterson and what we know he can do defensively, gives me hope for USC. Because I think having him could get them one or two more wins on their schedule from a defensive standpoint.
Okay, okay, I can dig it. I For me, man, and SEC Sean in the chat, he said it. I think if there's going to be a team that flies under the radar and makes the playoff, they're coming from the Big 12. I know we all expect Texas Tech and BYU to be the cream of the crop when it comes to Big 12 football. But as we said plenty times before on this podcast, the Big 12 oftentimes is unpredictable. I'm gonna say Houston is my dark horse. I like them getting Makai Hughes. I like them getting Connor Wegman. I like them bringing back some big players to on that offense and the experience they have back on the offensive line. So if there's a team that's going to make the playoffs, in my opinion, that nobody saw coming, they coming out of the Big 12, and I'm going to say Houston. Any final thoughts on that, my man?
I like that UNLV pick from Tim 18188. I feel like UNLV has been right there on the edge of trying to make it out of those teams from the group of five. And this might be the year that they make it, man. I really like that UNLV team. I think that they could have probably got Boise 2 years ago. Last year, they took a little step back, losing Brendan Marion, who went on to coach, I think, at another lower level school, but now he's over there at Colorado now. But offensively, I think UNLV might be better in their second year with their offensive coordinator. So I'm anxious to see what they look like.
Interesting, interesting. What you think about this, Rob? Let me find it. Uh, your man Texas Tech man in the chat. He says, Manning will choke at least 2 games.
I don't think so this year, man. I think everything that he went through last year is behind him. I feel like he's going to go out there and operate at a really high level. And the thing about that also is he got so many freaking weapons around him that he only got to do what he got to do. He doesn't have to be a Superman and put on a cape with that offense that they're going to have and with the play calling from Steve Sarkisian. He's going to be perfectly fine, and I guarantee you he's not going to choke at least 2 games. Texas might lose 2 games, but it definitely won't be because of Arch Manning.
Interesting. Yeah, I really I also like the running backs y'all were able to grab out the portal. I know I've said that before on past podcasts. I really like Relief Brown. I really like Hollywood Smothers. But how about Texas Tech, man, in the chat sending shots?
Hey, as a Texas Tech fan should, whenever you got a Longhorn on the channel.
For sure, for sure. Um, Time 18188. Let us know, is it Tim or Time? He said, I'm just funning Texas Tech,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Yeah. We can dig it, man. We like it. College football is on the way. We can take the Jazz. We like it. But let's move on, Rob. Who's your personal favorite to win the Big Ten, the ACC, SEC, and the Big 12?
In the Big Ten, I'm going to go with Oregon. I think Oregon is going to be one of those teams that if they can stay healthy, especially at that wide receiver position, I think they're going to be the team that comes out of the Big Ten and wins the Big Ten. In the ACC, I think it's going to be Miami, even though I think there's a few teams that might get them a scare this season, but I think Miami wins it. The SEC is going to be really, really tough. But I got to go with Texas, man. I think Texas has everything they need to win the SEC. So I'm going to go with them. And I'm kind of hoping that A&M and Texas can meet in that last game, rivalry game, and also get to play it back again in the SEC championship game. Probably not going to happen. Wishful thinking, but I hope that's the case. And last but not least, the Big 12. I still think Texas Tech is the team to beat, but I think BYU is going to be the one to win it.
Oh man, I know we gonna do future shows on conference and conference winners, but as y'all know, our opinions are subject to change as we get closer and closer to the season, and we start hearing the reports and this and that, and this guy is out, this guy isn't healthy, this guy's gonna miss the season, whatever the case may be. We have the right to change our minds, but as of today, as of right now, for the Big Ten, I'm sticking with IU. Listen, man, Kirk Signetti has found something. I think is extremely impressive what he did for the University of Indiana and turning them from a laughing stock to a national champion. But the interesting thing to me when you talk about Indiana is going to be, can they sustain this kind of roster building in the long run? They really rely heavily on the transfer portal. They recruited out of high school, but their classes aren't great. So I'm anxious to see if transfer portal building is sustainable in the long run. But for the Big Ten, I'm gonna go Indiana. For the ACC, I mean, how can you not take Miami? Those other teams just haven't proven anything. And I know this is a new season, new quarterback. They won't have that vicious pass rush they did with Mesidor and Bain. But I still think Miami is going to be one of the better teams in the country. I think that offense could be a little bit better than when they made their national championship run last season. So I'm taking Miami in the ACC. The SEC, I mean, if you've been around, you heard me talk about Texas. I really like what Texas has done in the transfer portal. I like the pickups they had, particularly at running back. They got one of the best wide receivers in the country, two of them. And I expect Arch Manning to take a huge leap this season. He really played well, in the latter part of last year. So I got Texas out of the SEC. The Big 12, again, I think a lot of or a team or two could surprise us in this league. I like Houston. I know our man SEC Sean really likes Houston, but I'm gonna take BYU. I think BYU is gonna play a really physical brand of football this season, and they're gonna be smash mouth. And like I said, LJ Martin has a chance to lead the nation in rushing, and I expect them to have a huge year. So out of the Big 12, I'm gonna take BYU. Got anything on that, Rob?
Hey, I like everything that you picked right there.
No doubt, no doubt. Same, same, same. Our man Time 18 said, "Don't look at the Manning family and Peyton Manning play Arch. Manning is about to set the tone for the new era. He went through his growing pains and he is more mobile than both Eli and Peyton by a mile. That's for sure, by a mile." SEC Sean said he'll take Ohio State in the Big Ten, Miami in the ACC, Houston in the Big 12, and Georgia in the SEC. Did you miss my other sleeper? He said Texas A&M and Memphis Tigers making the playoffs. Ooh, okay, I can see it. Group of five, Texas A&M taking that next step. And then SEC Shine, he said would have said A&M, but too many questions about O line and what version of Reed we get. Yeah, and that's it. Like that's the secret sauce for your Aggies. If that offensive line is up to par, if Reed has taken that step, I think your Aggies definitely could be a playoff team, and they can be right in the thick of things. I don't think that's far fetched at all. So let's move on to the next question, Rob. Who's your dark horse to win the Heisman?
Dark horse to win the Heisman. If I'm going to pick a dark horse, it's going to have to be somebody from the quarterback position. I'm gonna go with Hoover over there at Indiana to transfer from TCU. I think he's going to be my dark horse, even though we know what he can do, and he's been. It was a really good quarterback last year, and that really don't sound like a real dark horse pick. But when you look at all the talent around college football, man, he has to be a dark horse, even though it may not appear to be. And he's going to a really good situation at Indiana. I'm gonna go with Josh Hoover over there at Indiana at the quarterback position. I think he has some really good wide receivers he's going to be able to throw to, and they're going to run the football really well. I'm gonna go with Hoover.
Okay, Hoover out of Indiana, dark horse. Hold on, let's check this comment out. My man Time said Ohio State is going to be tough to beat. I got them going to the national championship anytime you can bring back four offensive linemen, which I think is the key to your success in football. Hey man, you get no arguments from me. I definitely know how vital a strong offensive line is to your success in college football, and I'm sure Rob agrees.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Dark horse to win the Heisman. I mean, bruh, you can go with so many players. Um, I have to look at Bryce Underwood. Bryce Underwood is my dark horse to win the Heisman. This is live, my man. We are live. Appreciate your support. Bryce Underwood is my dark horse to win the Heisman. Why do I think Bryce Underwood is a dark horse to win the Heisman? Well, it all starts with Kyle Whittingham coming from Utah. Think about it like this, Rob, or this is how I think about it, Rob. I look at all the quarterbacks Whittingham had at Utah, Brett Huntley, guys like that. And one of the things that they had in common were they were normally dual threat quarterbacks, right? So you telling me and Kyle Whittingham developed these guys and they all were solid to good quarterbacks. So now you telling me you give Kyle Whittingham a quarterback of that ilk but with much more talent. I I think he's going to work on his deficiencies and he's going to put Bryce Underwood in positions to be successful and for him to lead with his talent. I think he's going to put him in position to be successful. So with all that, I think that Bryce Underwood is going to be a dark horse Heisman candidate. Any thoughts on that?
Man, I like that pick as well. And you're absolutely correct about Kyle Whittingham and the quarterbacks that he's had in the past and their dual threat ability. Cam Rising was one of the best freaking quarterbacks in the country that season before he went down with that injury. We know what the quarterback before him did. You just said his name and it just escaped my brain that fast. But I really liked him. Only game he didn't have a good game wasn't it was in that bowl game against Texas. But I really like him, and he's still in the NFL, so he's still cashing checks. I really like what Cal Whittingham does with his quarterback, especially when they got dual threat ability, and I think he's going to bring out the best in Underwood, in my opinion. I think he's going to do a phenomenal job, and I think that's a good take right there, post game.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it just makes sense to me. Like this is what he's been working with his entire career. And you were talking about Brett Huntley, I believe.
Huntley, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you telling me he gets arguably the by far more talented dual threat quarterback than all those other guys he's had at Utah? They can be on to something. They can be on to something at Michigan. Let's welcome in the homie Mossberg of Level Up Sports 10. How you feeling this evening, dog?
Man, feeling pretty good, man. Appreciate y'all having me, man. I was just a little busy with the baby girl, man. She put a call in, said, "Dad, man, I need help with my hair getting taken out." So, as a father's job, man, we got to do what we got to do. So I'm here with her getting that done. But great show so far, and I'm in agreement with you, man. Great to see you as well, Unc. And I heard you guys talking a little bit about those quarterbacks and those dark horses. You know, I was just talking to Unc Parlay Poe about that Texas and Michigan game last year. I think that was one of the best games, including in the playoffs. I'm a piggyback off of you, Post, and I'm gonna go with Underwood because I think a lot of people is counting him out. He has a quarterback coach. He's been working out with one of the greatest gymnasts of all time in Michigan history. Michigan is no longer a blue blood, ladies and gentlemen. Mark them, I mean, no longer not a blue blood. Mark them as a blue blood. But I just think his progression, watching Arch, you talk about Julian Sayin, you talk about Underwood. These are three quarterbacks year after year. As we talked about last year, it's another year. We get to see him. What are we going to see out of him this year? So I'm going to take Underwood. I really like him.
Yeah, same. I'm with you. Mossberg come in on fire. Let's look at the chat. SEC Sean said, here's a real dark horse. Mario Craver due to reception yards and return touchdowns. All right. Our man Time is back in the chat and he says Ohio State, Jeremiah Smith. He also says Marcel Smith from Texas A&M or Marcel
You talking
Reed,
about
maybe.
Reed? Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that his name in Miami Hurricanes got a player. I forget his name, but he is going to be a surprise pick. You know what? Time a lot of the homies mentioned Malachi Tony as a guy who can win a Bolitnikov, and rightfully so, right? But I think having Cooper Barkate in that on the field with
Yeah.
Malachi Tony and that being the receiver that Mensa is familiar with. And don't get it twisted. Barkay can play football. I
Yeah.
think that might hurt Tony a little bit as far as getting votes and winning postseason awards. But we'll see. Tony definitely could, win any award. So
Real quick, Post, if you don't mind, just to piggyback even off Unc, I'm a big fan of Hoover. I heard him speaking on Hoover coming from TCU, going to Indiana. Sig got something brewing, man. I think Sig then found something similar to what we see in teams build throughout different sports. They build in dynasties. I think Sig found something that's available to be used, and he's using it to perfection. He has another quarterback. I like Hoover better than Mendoza. Hoover is my guy. I spoke a lot about him last year. So I'm going to go. That's definitely another one. That's a great pick as well. So I think we definitely going to be looking at the Big Ten, Hoover, Underwood, see what they can put together this year for sure. I know I am.
shout out to Time. He said, "Shout out family. Don't need no explanation. This is what fathers do.
Oh,
We don't get
appreciate you,
enough
bro.
credit for what we do. Appreciate you, my brother. 100%."
I appreciate you and being in here again, man. That's back to back to back to back. Timmy, make sure you send Unc, the CEO you see up here. Send that email, man, so we could get you on this show, so we could talk some of what we do with these sports, man. It's just good to always see you win through the week when we are on as well.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Um, I mean, this is addictive, man. Once you watch us cook, you gonna come back. That's
Yes,
that's
sir.
just that's just what's gonna happen. Uh, Mary Alex, 1994. How you doing, Mossberg? Who's your You told us your dark horse to win the Heisman, right?
Yes,
Who do you
sir.
think? Who do you think's gonna lead the country in rushing this season?
I like LJ Martin, man. I'm really a big fan of this kid. Watching, what he does, and we know what BYU can bring, on the offensive line side. Just overall, they're a team that, to me, he reminds me of Boise State's running back. How he brings that nature to what he's doing at BYU. Provo's going to be packed all season. I just feel LJ Martin can be that guy. I think he's just special, man. Very special talent.
Do you have a favorite offensive line going into this season?
I picked Oregon, but I think you got Oregon, you got Texas, you have Notre Dame. You even have Indiana. You have BYU. You have a slew of teams that if you put them, as I just did, not in any chronological order, but if you put them on a plate, you're gonna be waiting the seasons in and watch them just bounce around, moving up and down throughout the season. I picked Oregon, knowing what they coming back with that receivers and knowing what they have at quarterback. I just think Oregon definitely could get the job done this year, being one of those top offensive lines. I think BYU can definitely shock some people at what they're going to do this year up front as well.
No doubt, no doubt. Time back in the chat said Byron Brown, Florida State. I love underdog picks for sure. Byron Brown is one of my favorite players to watch, or is going to be one of my favorite players to keep an eye on during the season. I think him going to Auburn from USF and bringing practice or essentially all his receivers with him, and he's such a physical runner, man. I think definitely that's a quarterback to watch. So let's go to our last question on the docket. Do you have anything else, Moss? No.
Nah, we good. I definitely like what he's saying for sure.
Let's go to our last question then, and I'll start with you, Mossberg, because I hear a lot of analysts and some of us even at WTP Sports News believe this that USC is going to be a playoff team this coming season. And my question is, what has Lincoln Riley done at USC to become a trendy playoff pick this coming season? Go ahead, Moss.
I'm gonna let Unc start off with this one. I think. I mean, well, I'm gonna go ahead. You called on me. I gotta go ahead. We know what Lincoln Riley does. His name. He brings over, a load that recruitment that's going on in USC. He's brought in the top recruiting class, and it normally takes him a few years. Once he get his class in, once you see the like for me, I've seen USC be right there. Just a loss, maybe a turnover, maybe a mishap during that game has cost them that moment to move ahead. So I think this is a year that all of those things are put to the side. And I think this USC team this year can possibly be in the playoff. I really feel highly about them getting in the playoff. I think he just changed the culture as well, different coachings, and just bringing in his system. And when you get those players to fit that system, you can see a presence not just in the locker room but on the field as well.
All right. What you got on this, Rob?
Well, I just really feel like it's time, man. He's always had a solid enough offense. He just couldn't stop nobody else from scoring. He's going to have a really good offense. He has a returning quarterback, and we know any quarterback in his system in year two really does wonders in that system. I think he's going to have the offensive pieces that he needs. But like I said earlier, I think the fact that he got Gary Patterson as his defensive coordinator is going to be what really propels Lincoln Riley possibly into the playoffs this year. They're gonna have a tough going because you got Oregon, you got Ohio State, you got Indiana, you got Michigan, you got four teams there that is going to be in the way of USC possibly getting there. But I think if USC can get in the top three or four in the Big Ten, they can get in there, man. But they got their work cut out for them. But I think, like I said earlier, when you got Gary Patterson over there as your defensive coordinator, he can fix a lot of your issues in a hurry.
I, bro, I am totally on the other side of the fence on this. I don't understand. Like, I don't believe in USC at all, at least as a playoff team. There's nothing that tells me that USC is going to be a top two or three team in a Big Ten and going to be a playoff team. Lincoln Riley just ain't it for me. And you know the crazy part? A lot of USC fans agree with that. They think Lincoln Riley is not it. And I like Mayava. I like their running backs. They got some players on that team, but I just don't. Seeing how he coached against Notre Dame in the rain, calling that idiot play. where it was a backwards pass and wide receiver throw in. Man, that was my little son could have called a better play than that. But
Yeah.
I just don't understand all the love USC has been getting across the board. I don't. They haven't showed me anything to think that they're going to be a playoff team.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned that post because the weekend I was down in South Bend, I actually, me and my brother went to that B Dubs down in that area right across the bridge from where we was at, and we watched that Michigan and Notre Dame. I mean, the Michigan and USC game. I seen a different USC team. I know they don't have those same players that they had during that game coming into this year, but some of the players that's returning, it was just a different movement that I seen, and it seemed like this USC team could get over the hump this year. That's just my thoughts. I think some of those younger kids was ready to ball out when it comes to having a chance, and we've seen that in that passing game that they exhibited last year with Jacoby, as well as your boy Lemon. So just that's just my thoughts. I really like the chances of this team really getting over the hump this year. It's this year or not at all. If they don't do it, I think they call him.
You think he gets fired if they don't make it this year?
We seen a record in buyouts last year. It could possibly get that way early in the season and be talked about with the hot seats that we got moving around right now in college football with these head coaches. My guy Norvell being one of them at Florida State, but that's a whole nother talk for another day we got coming for you.
No doubt about that. My man Renee Martinez, salute to you, homie. He said, "Bro, I get that schedules can be weak, but according to Who Post, last I checked, the third place ACC team played for the Natty and beat Georgia and others in the playoffs. That's true. I'm not. I don't disagree with that." Our man Time said Lincoln Riley hasn't won anything. I do not like to talk about a coach that didn't win anything. If we're going to judge players, let's judge coaches. He is not a winner. SEC Shine said Gary Peterson is good as long as he doesn't face Georgia. Time back at it. He
It's a
said,
good
"There
one.
goes the word." He said, "There goes that word. If my pops always told me if someone had to use the word, if that means the person if wish thinker, and we don't think around here about it. Oh no, if I was a millionaire." Hey,
Man,
that's comedy. That's comedy, man. Y'all got anything else on Lincoln Riley and USC?
I mean, man, I'm looking at their schedule, and they got 7 home games. Now, the tough games on their schedule in the Big Ten, they got Ohio State, Oregon, and they got Indiana, but they got Ohio State and Oregon and Washington at home.
mm,
Only team that they travel to is Indiana, and they travel to Penn State. I think they can get Penn State, and I think they got a really good chance with those 7 home games. They can, I think they can make the playoffs. If they drop 2 of those games in the Big Ten, they can go 10-2, and I think they can make it, man. I think they're going to be in a really good position if they can take care of their home field, and I think they're going to be able to do that. They got some tough ones, though. They got Ohio State and Oregon. Those are probably the 2 best teams
tough.
in this conference, man. And then you get Indiana, too. So you got probably the 3 best teams in the conference. But I think USC might be able to turn the corner and get there, man. They've been close the last couple of years. They just been right on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
Indiana has to play the three best teams in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
No, USC.
USC. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
USC.
I meant
USC
I
do.
meant USC. Those are all L's.
It's possible. You got 2 of them at home, though. You got to
Yeah,
you got to break even
Who
on
they
one of them.
who they
You got to
who
beat
they play
Ohio
at?
State or Oregon.
They play Ohio State and Oregon at home.
yeah,
Yeah, they got both of them at their crib.
that's right. The
It
writing's
might
on the
even be
wall.
back-to-back weeks. No, they got
Yeah.
Washington and Oregon back-to-back weeks.
Ooh, that's ugly right there.
Yeah, Washington could be a little something, something. Time said, let's see how Lincoln Riley do with that schedule. My man Renee said, love what you're doing, brother, man. You know I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
100%.
Indeed.
He said, time back in there, he said they set it up for Lincoln Riley to win. They got home games.
Mm-hmm.
If you beat Ohio State, you are telling me something. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact.
Definitely.
I don't care where it is, home, away, neutral site, that you beat Ohio State. That's a feather in the cap.
Oh, for sure.
Y'all know why it's set up that way is to make money. You know how much money is going to be at that game. 100%, man. 100%. Y'all got anything else on Lincoln Riley? Nah.
Get the job done.
Man, that was some really good college football talks, man, and I appreciate my brothers, man, for coming in and cooking with me. We appreciate the chat. Everybody out there, please like and subscribe. We need y'all support. We working hard. We making it do what it do, and you can subscribe and watch our journey. So
Yes, sir.
we appreciate y'all. Any closing thoughts, Rob and Mossberg?
Let's go, Texas Longhorns. We got 76 days until kickoff. Let's go.
Man, college football season is near. NBA draft came and is gone. Mossberg just been working on something special, man. I'm not saying nothing else about any conversations, man. I'm just, working on the outside and definitely hearing the phone calls coming in and the messages, and that's definitely what I'm working on, bringing you all. So just stay tuned. That's all I can say is stay tuned. And when I say stay tuned, it's something, just stay tuned. That's all I'm gonna say, man. I'm just constantly working, trying to bring something special to it all for sure.
Oh, no doubt about that, man. Appreciate y'all. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. For Rob at WTP for Life, from Mossberg of Level Up Sports 10, and myself, Post Game of Post Game Sports. We out of here. Peace.
Peace.